All right, 97.1. So, we always like to take a spin around the world of sports, even in the midst of big issues. Today, David has a little NBA roundup. Let's rapid fire this deal. Rather aggressive music to begin this.
Very aggressive music.
My God.
But I love it because we're talking NBA basketball, Mike.
Issue number one.
Issue one, over the weekend, James Harden was fined $25,000 for public criticism of ref Scott Foster. Quote, he said, "You aren't able to talk to him throughout the course of the game, and it's like, how do you build that relationship with officials?" Does he have something here, or does the NBA need to look into this?
Okay, A, you're never going to win commenting on officials publicly, ever. And I know the fines don't matter, but it's a bad look for Harden. But there is something to it. I think if you are one of the great stars in the league, and Harden is, and as much as I don't enjoy watching him play, that's a separate argument for a separate day. You earn a certain right. You earn the ability to have a dialogue. And if Harden doesn't feel like he's getting a fair shake there, then that's a problem. Yes. And, guys, I know you don't have to like it. There's right and there's real. This is real. Harden deserves that. Certain players deserve that.
No regard for human life.
Big news over the weekend. The NBA submitted formal proposal to the NBAPA to lower the minimum age from 19 to 18.
Love it.
Is this a good move?
Yes, it's a great move. And this was one of the times where I wish I was here, because I would have went nuts after Zion Williamson got hurt, because this is why, Zion should not be here. And it's ironic, after we had Jay Billis on the pod last week, shameless promotion, but the amateurism rules, how these schools get away with it. Oh, but Duke's paying the insurance policy. No, guys like Zion Williamson shouldn't be in college basketball. No, there's not going to be some great amount of guys that's going to go. Only the best of the best go. College basketball still serves a purpose for about 95% of players. Or for the special 5%, yes, David, 18 is fair. It's right. It has to happen. And then teams can draft accordingly. No one's putting a gun to your head telling you got to take an 18-year-old if you don't want one.
So if you were watching Saturday night's NBA extravaganza, they had the Warriors and they had the Rockets. And it was a 15-0 quick start of the game. The Rockets over the Warriors. It was 18-6 before Steve Kerr finally called a timeout. He was sitting there looking disgusted.
He'd had enough.
Is there a really concern here with the Warriors, or are they just playing around until the playoffs?
Can it be both? I can be concerned about the Warriors and say, look, I just kind of think the KD, Draymond Green thing has a real role on this team. Things were said in that exchange you can't take back. And I've always wondered whether it would rear its ugly head. Now, as far as the regular season goes, they're bored. They've said it on the record. They are bored. So I'm not going to freak out about that. But, David, you can make a point right now that for the first time in several years, I could see someone beating them. Yes. So it's a little bit of both. You are, Kevin.
It is a little bit of both. I agree with that one as well. Okay, so over the weekend, or Friday to be exact, Russ scored 43. Paul George scored 45 in the same game. He went to double overtime in that game against the Jazz, I believe. So CBS has his worst-case scenario article out for every team, and in the one for OKC, the writer happens to mention how during the All-Star break he asked around the league, and people thought that the Thunder were the second-best team in the West. Is that right? Are they the second-best team?
Yeah.
Or if not, who is?
No, they are, and I'll tell you why. Because they're the only team that can guard and play the type of defense you got to play against Golden State. Steven Adams has always been a problem for Golden State. Paul George is playing at an MVP level. I would absolutely tell you, if we're talking about the ability to beat the Warriors, they would be number 2 for me out there, yes.
Because he's a good boy. He wouldn't do something nasty like that.
All right, I'm going to admit.
I'm sorry. If you have no idea what this radio show is or what that was old Celtics broadcaster Johnny Most talking about Dennis Rodman. I am so sorry. Without context, that sounds ridiculous.
All right, I'm going to be honest. This question here might be a little odd, but I'm just curious. DeRozan returned to Toronto for the first time over the weekend. We know we all heard the Anthony Davis possible trade scenario, how everything was very public. Got me to thinking, are we ever going to find out why Kawhi wanted out of San Antonio? Because we haven't heard anything. In the era of social media, nothing has come out. Are we ever going to find out what happened?
You will find out when he signs that long-term deal with his next team. That's when I think it'll happen. But you, my friend, have nailed something. I have always wondered. You've always wondered. The world wonders. I think once that deal happens, that's when they release cabin pressure. He's such a strange dude, man.
Bang!
So LeBron is a little bit back in the news again. He spoke again. His team lost to the Anthony Davis-less Pelicans.
It's a good look.
And after the game, he kind of got on his teammates, saying that because of their lack of experience, they don't have the urgency needed when it comes to this playoff push. Is he truthful here, or is he just bashing his teammates again?
Yeah, both. But they deserve bashing. It's very simple. Is basketball the most important thing in your life? Yes or no? That was his quote, right? It's one of the best things LeBron's ever said. Guys, we have less than 30 games. I did not come here to miss the playoffs. You guys are playing like a bunch of losers. Brandon Ingram, are you awake? It's time to go. You lost to the Pels without AD. That's a bad look. So it's both, David.
Bang!
Final question here, and I find this a little bit interesting because on this show we kind of talk about championships are very important. But Damian Lillard recently spoke to Yahoo Sports' Chris Haynes on the Posted Up podcast, and he explained, quote, "I do want to win a championship, but it's other stuff that means more to me. It's almost like I'm not willing to sell myself out for that." Now, people remember he kind of ripped KD for going to the Warriors.
Yes.
Now, does he really believe this, or is he just trying to make himself feel better?
No, I think that's what he believes. I think it matters playing in Portland. I think it matters staying there. It matters to have that legacy, and I think Russell Westbrook is the same way. I think he stays in OKC for that reason. I want to prove I can do it. I want to stay here. I want to build a legacy. I want a statue. Yes, I don't think it means Damian Lillard is a loser. I think it means that there are things that matter to him outside of a title, and loyalty to his franchise or to that city, or that is a part of it. So I dig it. I'm cool with it. But later on in that career, you got to go chase the chip if you don't have one. You got to get yourself one of those old man rings. Got to have one.